Since the opening of the 5th session of the 10th Parliament on Monday, August 4, 2014, the House of Representatives has been conducting its proceedings with revised standing orders. Some of the existing standing orders were revised, while new standing orders were also introduced. This segment will feature the standing orders that relate to the budget process, from the Minister of Finance and the Economy's annual budget speech and presentation of the budget documents, to the proceedings of the Standing Finance Committee, which will now be broadcast live to the public. On Budget Day, the Minister of Finance and the Economy lays the budget documents for the upcoming fiscal year in the House of Representatives. These documents are automatically submitted to the Standing Finance Committee for review at a later date. The appropriation bill is then introduced and read a first time in the House before the Finance Minister delivers his budget speech. At the end of the budget presentation, the Minister names the date on which debate on the appropriation bill continues. 3 days must elapse before this occurs. When debate on the appropriation bill continues, the Leader of the Opposition is usually the first to respond. He determines the order in which the heads of expenditure are to be considered in the Standing Finance Committee and must inform the Speaker in writing of his decision. If the Leader of the Opposition fails to do so, the government will then determine the order in which the heads of expenditure will be discussed. Ministers, members of the House, permanent secretaries, and other relevant parties are also informed of the sequence for the consideration of the heads of expenditure in the Standing Finance Committee. When making his contribution to the debate on the appropriation bill, the duration of the opposition leader's response is determined by the length of time taken by the Finance Minister to deliver his budget presentation. Consequently, other members of the House are given 45 minutes to make their contributions, with a possible extension of 10 minutes. When all members who wish to speak have spoken, the Minister of Finance and the Economy then responds. The appropriation bill is then read a second time, and the House then resolves into Standing Finance Committee for consideration of the bill along with the estimates. Before beginning its work, the Standing Finance Committee, which is now chaired by the Speaker of the House, sets the agenda for the duration of the deliberations. The committee is given 5 days to examine estimates of expenditure and other budget documents which would have been submitted on the day the budget speech was delivered in the House of Representatives. Committee members are allowed to speak for 5 minutes for an unlimited number of times. At the beginning of the proceedings, the Chairman, the Speaker of the House, will state each head or ministry or department and propose that the sum allocated to that ministry or department be approved. Discussions will then begin on the head and corresponding estimates. Throughout the proceedings, members may seek clarification on the sums from the relevant accounting officers. If any member wishes to propose an amendment to the estimates, he must do so in writing, giving 1 day's notice to the clerk. Any change that would result in an increase to a head of expenditure must be done by a minister on the authority of Cabinet. However, any change that would result in a decrease to a head of expenditure may be moved by any member. When all amendments have been addressed, the Chairman shall put the question that the specific head be increased or decreased accordingly. No debate is allowed when this question is put before the committee. The Chairman will then put the question to the committee that the sum be approved. This procedure is followed for each head. When all the heads of expenditure have been approved, the total sum must then be approved. Once approved, the clauses of the appropriation bill are considered. When the clauses have been considered, the Chairman will put the question that the bill be reported to the House. When the sitting of the House resumes, the Minister of Finance and the Economy will present a report to the House informing members that the estimates were considered in the Standing Finance Committee and approved. In his report, the Finance Minister may state the details of the amendments, if any were suggested. Following the Finance Minister's report, the bill is read a third time and passed.